Oh, you are live. Yes, we are live. And look who's back to join me. Finally decided I was worthy of companionship and accompanying this time. Ken LaVicka from ESPN Radio. How are you, Ken?
Poop, I missed your company. I missed your touch. I missed your musk, to be quite honest. And I'm glad you survived this. I feel like we've said that a couple of times. And the Dolphins are still in the Huntley. How about that?
Okay, I'm gonna delete you from the show immediately just for that.
Oh man! But I just want to say, because I know that you have some co-hosts on here, and fans revel in the divisiveness, in the debate, in the back and forth. I feel like you and I have good back and forth, and we'll debate, but maybe not to the extent of the others. I am not going to fabricate some sort of Tyler Huntley sucks. Snoop Huntley struggled today. Like I saw you were getting on social media. That was winning backup quarterback play for a guy who clearly has been working within this offense for a while.
Okay, and I'm going to take it a step further, okay, because I will not have any whatsoever downplaying what the guy did, okay?
Yep.
If I were to tell you, what would the reaction be, you think, if I told you Tua was 22 for 26, 225 yards, passer rating of 115.5. Oh, and on top of that, 7 carries, 52 yards, and a touchdown. We would be going nuts over that. That's a great performance.
Right. We would be on Calle Ocho. We would be banging pots and pans right now. It would be calling Canton right now. It would be praising Tua and his jiu-jitsu and his entire offseason program. You're exactly right. This was an efficient, effective, and intelligent quarterback performance today.
He was great. And if you've been following the All Dolphins podcast, and for those who are on, appreciate you joining us. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I love you guys for joining us. It's not exactly like I haven't been hard on Tyler Huntley, because I've said all along the Dolphins were criminally negligent, not getting better backup quarterback options. And I included Tyler Huntley in that, but more so Skylar Thompson and Mike White, who were the two guys who were there in camp. I didn't see this coming. There was nothing in his first 3 starts that would suggest he would play this well. And I will go, again, look at his numbers. Those were Tua-type numbers where he's highly efficient. The completion percentage, by the way, is over 80%, which would set an NFL record like we've heard about Tua all along. The dude was really, really good, and there was throws downfield. It wasn't just a whole ton of wide receiver screens. He was really good. The offense sucked early on, but it was mostly because of penalties. There was the one play, the shotgun snap, which wound up on his chest because he wasn't looking.
Right.
And that, I don't know if it was Huntley's fault or Aaron Brewer for snapping too quickly. That shouldn't happen. Again, but there was dysfunction all over the place. They called an end around to Malik Washington with somebody in the backfield immediately. That's an 11-yard loss. On the same drive, Teron Armstead has a holding penalty. Kendall Lamb has a false start. It was butt ugly, the offensive execution. But Huntley was good the whole game. And it also helped. I felt the Dolphins would win this game because, how can I say this respectfully? Ken, help me out if I'm being too harsh. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson, with all due respect, that guy belongs on the practice squad, if that.
He is really, really bad. And I know that Andrew Catalan on the CBS broadcast said that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is totally fine being called DTR, but his mother likes his full name. Well, his mother, at least I'm incorrect in this assumption, doesn't watch this postgame show, okay? So it's going to be DTR from here on out. Hope he's bad. Dare I say that Jameis Winston would have been a significantly more difficult task for this Dolphins defense, especially. Just like we said in that Colts game, you felt like they got a break going against Anthony Richardson than Joe Flacco. Just the stand in the pocket and whip it around the yard type of quarterbacks. This Dolphins defense is not nearly as proficient as they are against quarterbacks like DTR. They're sort of these hybrids. The Dolphins have the speed to pursue and force mistakes for inefficient passers, which DTR is.
Yeah, and he's got some mobility, but to be as inconsistent a thrower as he is, you have to be Lamar Jackson fast. Because the ball goes all over the place. And since you mentioned the Colts, we should point out, for those not aware, the Colts, thank you very much, dropped a 45-33 decision against the New York Giants, who in the process lost the number 1 overall pick. Not like they could use it to, I don't know, take a quarterback, but that's a different story. I don't care about the Giants. Props to them for showing professionalism and playing to the end. I mean, the Colts defense couldn't stop anything, give up a kickoff return to start the second half. Flacco put up good numbers. I had a couple of picks as well. So that eliminated the Colts. So now it's very simple for the Dolphins. It's win against the New York Jets next Sunday and have the Denver Broncos lose against the Kansas City Chiefs at home, though the Chiefs are not going to use, as reported by Peter Schrager, as suggested by me. I'm not exactly going on a limb. No Patrick Mahomes, no Travis Kelce, probably no Chris Jones, and maybe some others. The NFL will announce a schedule probably tonight, later Sunday night. I highly suspect, and I wrote a story about this on Miami Dolphins on SI.com. Check it out. I won't go into the full details, but highly suspect it's going to be a 4:25 p.m. game.
Yep, I saw that, and I think that's extremely astute. I think that makes a lot of sense. And so, again, going for around a 4:30 Eastern time kickoff. We are now Carson Wentz fans, and I want all of you to accept that now, that this is a guy who your playoff hopes depend on. But there's also some quarterback drama, I suspect, with the football team that the Dolphins are playing next week, too, in the finale at MetLife Stadium. I don't know if it matters at all, but I do know first time around Aaron Rodgers had his best game of what has been the most miserable season of his entire illustrious career going against the Dolphins just a couple of weeks ago. But if you listen to his post-game press conference, he pulled himself out at 33-0, but then it became 40-0 after he told Jeff Ulbrich, hey, I should probably sit now. So I don't even know who the Jets start at quarterback next week, but it would be, if anybody remembers the end of the 2008 season when the Dolphins clinched the AFC East, that was the final appearance for Brett Favre in a Jets uniform, and they broke him and they battered him. And I remember Jeremiah Bell nearly taking his soul late in the fourth quarter of that game. Perhaps the Dolphins can do something similar, not like take his soul and hurt him, but maybe really just sort of rub it in the Jets' faces at the conclusion of Aaron Rodgers' time with gangrene. Maybe some parallels there.
However, I think the Dolphins would be much better off facing Aaron Rodgers because he looks, first of all, checked out, and it's always like there's some passing numbers, but then they always fail on fourth down. Instead of Tyrod Taylor, and there's 2 games that stand out to me about Tyrod Taylor where he could be dangerous. Well, there's 3 games I remember him against the Dolphins. One of them was in 2016 when the Dolphins made the playoffs. They clinched it by winning at Buffalo on Christmas Eve, and then somebody else lost on Christmas Day. Well, Tyrod Taylor had a fabulous game that game. Yeah. Remember, the Dolphins won 34-31 in overtime. Then the following year, I believe it was, Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback when the Bills won in Miami. Then we're in the locker room watching Baltimore lose to Cincinnati in the final seconds to clinch their first playoff berth in a long time. And then the other one was in 2021. That one wasn't so good. Tyrod Taylor was with the Houston Texans, and the Dolphins beat them 17-9 with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback in a battle to see who could have the most butt ugly offense.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. The instance of Tyrod Taylor and the Bills watching for the locker room, that really was the beginning of this Bills, Sean McDermott, Josh Allen era that we now know, this modern winning run that they've been on, because then they added Josh Allen on board. He went to the playoffs in his first year, had that circus act in Houston, and then from that point, the Bills have just won division after division after the division. If anything, too, maybe win one for Joe Philbin. You remember a Jets team with nothing to play for? All the Dolphins had to do was win, the way things that played out in that 1 o'clock window down at Hard Rock Stadium, and the Dolphins lose to an inspired Jets team. Rex Ryan on the hot seat. It earned him another year after the Jets beat the Dolphins to keep him out of the playoffs. So you know what? If anything, win one for Joey P.
There you go. I believe that was the year the Dolphins needed to win one of the final 2, and they lost like 20-7 and 19-0, or vice versa. I mean, that was rough. Since you mentioned the Buffalo Bills, we should also point out that if the Dolphins do sneak into the playoffs with a win, they would be playing at the Buffalo Bills because the Bills clinched the number 2 seed today with their win against the Jets, which was 40-14. I'll be honest with you, I prefer Buffalo than Baltimore. I think right now Baltimore is the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC. Baltimore is scary right now.
I know that right now it's a lot of naysaying and cynicism and, if this happens. Again, it's still a big if, okay? Because weird things happen at MetLife Stadium, though the Dolphins have been sneakily successful there for the entire time that venue has actually been in existence. And then, of course, you need Carson Wentz and a collection of backups to go out and beat the Broncos next week. So, yeah, it's still remote possibility this happens, but if it does happen, can we avoid time to just go get slammed at Buffalo? It might happen, but it shows resilience, and if anything, feel good for Calais Campbell, who once again today played it's a family post game, played his backside off.
We can go up the butt. We can go up the butt.
He played his butt off. His Calais Campbell, big, beefy veteran butt off today. And yes, he wants to go ring chase. He deserves to be able to go ring chase, but also he hasn't checked out of this situation. He's going to play to the very end. And man, if that doesn't earn your undying respect, I don't know what will. I absolutely love that guy. I'm going to miss him when he's gone.
Here's a problem though for him.
I know.
Yeah, unless I'm severely mistaken and I'm off on my rules, he cannot be waived after week 18 and then join the team. So the Dolphins winning, keeping them alive in the playoffs means Dolphins are going to hang on to him. And then that means Calais is finishing up the season with the Dolphins. So I'm sure there are teams around the league, especially those playoff teams who would have had a higher waiver claim priority are going, damn Dolphins couldn't lose this game. They weren't going to lose this game. It was like, again, I actually thought once it came out, and we need to discuss Tua and the injury, but once it came out that he was going to be inactive, my initial prediction was 23-9. It wound up being, this is assuming Tua was going to play, wound up being 20-3 with Tyler Huntley. Once Tua was ruled inactive, I thought it was going to be 13-10 Dolphins. I didn't think they were going to be quite as efficient offensively. And again, the penalties and all that and the negative plays kept them from getting more points than 20, because you're going to say, well, stop raving about Huntley. They don't score 20 points. Yeah, because they get – and if you look, I think Dave Hyde, our good buddy, on his Twitter account had the third down situation in the first half. It's like 3rd and then, 3rd and 27, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 4. I mean, it's like good luck converting those. And one more, I got to get off my chest. Please, Mike McDaniel, you're a good guy. You're a really good guy. I really like you. Can you stop with the outside runs on 4th and 1, like that pitch to Devon Achane? Oh, my Lord. Enough.
After just a needless review that, if things got a little tighter, could have hurt you. And then one play later, the same exact thing happens where you lose another review. I'm with you. The outside run is more concerning in this spot. But he's 4 of 18 now in his career. He is the Miami Hurricanes bowl game of officials' reviews from a head coach in the NFL. I mean, it is
voice of FAU taking a shot at UM.
Hey, I've been standing up for Cam Ward since yesterday, so Canes fans should help me. I'm your ally here. I thought that Mike McDaniel, this was a good win with a backup quarterback. You took care of business. That's great. Mike McDaniel did not have a good day. I thought that outside run, the end around call, just basically negating a big first down throw to Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins being behind the sticks. I thought that there was a lot, instead of letting Tyler Huntley, who clearly was comfortable standing back in the pocket, using that RPO game, firing over the middle, he unlocked Tyreek Hill better than I think Tyreek Hill has been unlocked at any point this year. He was open. The ball was finding him quickly. There was a throw to Hunter Craycraft in the second half, but that was phenomenal from Tyler Huntley. And then what do? You start going back to this edge stuff. And Raheem Mostert provided absolutely nothing today again at all. So I just thought, I don't know if there was a fear of trying to rely on Tyler Huntley too much, but Snoop was clearly more comfortable with what he was doing. And I thought some of the play calling took him out of a rhythm where the ball could have even been moved down the field more efficiently. And of course, penalties really, really hurt them. The offensive line was an absolute mess, especially in the first half. 7 penalties, 65 yards. That was a wreck. But I thought that Tyler Huntley played really well despite Mike McDaniel today, who made a bunch of what could have been high-profile mistakes.
Yeah, here's a stat for you. Because the game started off, the Dolphins actually were running very well. It was Devon Achane gained 9 and 6 yards on 2 of his first 3 carries. After that, there's also a 1-yard run, so that would be 3 for 16. After that, the Dolphins running backs would have had 17 yards on 16 carries.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
And so, again, if you're going to do the whole, oh, great, your backup quarterback beat the Browns, look at that number. Other than Achane, from the sequence you mentioned, 17 yards on 16 carries. The run game did absolutely nothing for you. In fact, in the second half, you know who your run game was? Tyler Huntley. That was your run game. He did literally everything on offense for your football team. So there should be no fake exuberance here. You've been asking for a backup quarterback to get the job done. And you know what? The guy in this system who's been in it for quite some time now, he executed it well enough to win. And if he has to go into MetLife Stadium and win a game, you feel a lot better about it now than you would have like 5 hours ago.
No, I completely agree. And give me this Tyler Huntley. The Dolphins absolutely should handle the Jets. And this Tyler Huntley, I think, would have beaten Tennessee, would have beaten
Indy, if
Indy.
he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did it make, and by the way, and I'm going to say something here just so everybody knows it's not just all of this with me and Tyler Huntley. I still hate his throwing motion. It's still ugly, but he got the ball where it needed to go today. Now, was it okay? So if it was an issue of he needed time to learn the offense and get comfortable in what it was doing, that's why he couldn't get it done in if his first 3 started and he was good today, then Skylar Thompson doesn't have that excuse. And it goes back to, why did you think Mike White and Skylar Thompson were good? Okay, let's get to Tua real quick because we have a lot of comments here. I made the comment on Twitter that if he's not playing in a game the Dolphins must have, I mean, should we not infer that it's a fairly serious injury? I think I saw a tweet somewhere I think the folks at CBS were just saying it was an issue of being concerned about his ability to protect himself if his mobility was limited. No, he's not Lamar Jackson to begin with.
Right, right.
So I'm concerned that, again, the severity of it.
That suggests to me that he relies on his hips a lot with that swivel to get that ball out, especially RPO, quick step, swivel, throw. That when I first heard what you're talking about, Poop, but trying to really rationalize it, you're right. He's not trying to scurry anywhere. I think if he's having an issue just simply getting any sort of momentum and power through that hip when he throws, that seems pretty serious to me, right? Like that's not just some lingering thing that concerns me a little bit.
No, same here. And we need to mention Teron Armstead also left the game. Before he pulled himself out of the game, you could watch him, like after half the plays, you see him like kind of making motions with his right leg when it wasn't right again. Maybe it's the same thing that has happened the game before. He pulled himself out. Eventually he was able to come back, but again, given his age and given the nature of the injury, at some point it's going to be like they're going to have to shut him down and go with Patrick Paul, who was okay, got schooled a couple of times by Myles Garrett, but he shouldn't feel too bad. He ain't the first one who's gotten schooled by Myles Garrett.
No, there's a long, illustrious line of tackles who have been schooled by Myles Garrett, but I was really, really surprised. Well, I guess not surprised. I just keep hoping that down the stretch in this season, the Dolphins are able to clean things up and they look like they're prepared right off the jump. And that wasn't the case again. Like the penalties in the first half, I cannot believe in a must-win game against a sorry team like the Browns, you're just giving gift after gift after gift. And it started with Isaiah Wynn and that dopey decision to come down the field on a first down throw to Tyreek Hill and just start laying people out. What are you thinking? You've been in the league way too long to be doing things like that. It's absolutely needless. And then again, that set the tone for the rest of the half. and blew up drives. You've got your backup quarterback in there, and that's been an issue for you all year. So what are you going to do? Keep pushing the football back. I shouldn't be surprised, Poop. Like, I actually shouldn't be surprised because that's sort of the Dolphins' MO, right? Like, they come out of in these games and things are ragged. They look completely unprepared. They eventually, for the most part, work it out. But it's week 17. These things are not fixed, which means this is part of the personality of the Dolphins, and that's a reflection on the guy who calls the plays, the reflection of the guy with the glasses on the sideline with the sweet shoes all the time.
I don't know the shoes, dude. I wear 1975 Adidas shoes. Something like that. So I know I'm not the fashion play. There's other big guys who like focus on the shoes. I don't. Another point here quickly, and weird for the Browns, and not weird. I mean, I kind of like explained it in my instant takeaways. I'm gonna pump it up. Please check out Miami Dolphins on the side.com. Wrote instant takeaways. You're down 13-3 if you're the Browns on 4th and 3 with a highly dysfunctional offense. And I don't. And then they went for the touchdown instead of making it a one-score game. And I don't know if it's just about giving DTR specific game situations to work on, but it's like, man, that's a weird call. I mean,
yes,
get it to one score. If you looking at it from a Browns perspective, weird.
Yeah, no, I know there is. And next week, they were speculating about it on the broadcast. Maybe they go with Bailey Zappi to close out the season. I mean, that thing, Deshaun Watson has destroyed that franchise. And I know this week that Andrew Berry found a way to restructure the contract to make it a little more helpful to the Browns. But, I mean, that signing, not just from a PR standpoint, but the money that you gave the guy, that is a franchise killer. And I feel badly for Kevin Stefanski. He's been so hamstrung. They had a good thing going. And last year, Kevin Stefanski figured out how to make Joe Flacco what he wanted, and it made them a playoff team. And this year, Deshaun Watson stayed healthy long enough for him to destroy the season. And I don't know where the Browns go from here because the owner, Jimmy Haslam, appears to be completely uninterested in admitting to any sort of mistake and wants to keep trotting Deshaun Watson out there, despite the fact he's a bottom third quarterback in the NFL. But you know what? Not the Dolphins' problem. They're married to Tua. Everything's fine.
Well, the problem is I'm not even touching that one with a 10-foot pole. No, the problem for the Browns before we get the comments here is and I get it from the owner's standpoint is if I'm going to be paying that guy that kind of money, yeah, you're going to try to get my money's worth, and I can get it even if at the cost of how it affects the team. So anyway, we're not here to talk about Deshaun Watson because he does suck. Let's just say today, to me, I was happy from a Dolphins perspective. First of all, that Jameis Winston couldn't play, then he was inactive. And I kept waiting for the moment where they'd realize we're not doing anything with DTR at quarterback. Let's go to Bailey Zappi, who's not a great guy, but at the very least, I think he's got some throwing efficiency where the other dude, I don't know what his final passer rating was. It is, and it's not the end of it. 50.8 is 24 for 47. And some of the throws, it's like, woof.
By the way, to apply this to us locally in South Florida, Bailey Zappi, his offensive coordinator, when he set the all-time NCAA passing and touchdown mark in a single season 3 years ago, his offensive coordinator, now current FAU head football coach, Zach Kitley. How about that?
How did you know that, Ken?
It popped. It's a little bit of research, just small amount of research right there.
I love how you do your homework before you come on the All Dolphins podcast.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the fact that you're the voice of FAU athletics.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's the first thing that I put two and two together. And Bailey Zappi set that record on FAU's home field in the Boca Raton Bowl, by the way. And I also saw someone had a question about the artwork on my walls. Just a quick note. I am not in South Florida where I typically am. You can tell by the fact I'm holding the mic. I'm at my in-laws in Orlando, and someone asked, Ken, what's the art behind you? It is a wedding picture of me and my wife.
Oh, very nice.
There you go. There's the art. There we go.
Very nice.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Bunch of comments, so let's go attack those. You ready, Ken?
Let's do it.
And I certainly hope I'm not getting any of you guys or gals who are on Twitter trying to argue with me that Huntley wasn't playing well in the first. And as somebody pointed out, maybe it was some trolls who like get me going because I'm very easy. I'm like a fish. I'm very easy to get going. And it was like, what the hell are you people watching? Anyway, here we go. Dude, you're gonna have to give me a pronunciation guide because I always don't pronounce. Shadow Fatez. Thank you very much for the contribution. Sorry I was working last week. Condolences on your parents. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. By the way, today would have been Mom's 93rd birthday. So, Mom, happy birthday wherever you might be in the galaxy. Went through it in 2021 and 2022 myself. All positive thoughts to your family. Very much appreciated. For those not aware, my parents passed away at 91 and 92 years old within a 6-day span a couple of weeks ago. So, tough times, but take comfort in the fact that they've lived good, long lives. They were together for all this time, and they didn't have to be without each other for very long. So that gives me comfort. With that, let's move on to the next one here.
Yeah.
No, B1, thank you very much. That first half was booty cheek with a pimple. Okay, thanks for the visual. Jets suck, but may not get away with that next week. Here's what I would tell you, though. If the Dolphins can't beat the Jets, I don't want the Dolphins in the playoffs. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs if you can't beat the stinking Jets. Because
I would, if I were a Dolphins fan, I would take great solace in if the Dolphins can't get past that toxic conflagration. I mean, that thing is as bad as it was at any point with Rex Ryan, as bad as any point that it was when Brett Favre was there. That thing is an unmitigated mess. You have a quarterback who appears to be completely checked out. If you believe Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, Garrett Wilson is basically putting his foot down. If Aaron Rodgers is there next year, Garrett Wilson wants out. After the game, Sauce Gardner's talking about how he thinks his teammates or he suspects his teammates are checked out. If you lose to that, then just know that from your mental perspective, your sanity, it's going to be better for you, the Dolphins not going to the playoffs. I think that's the perspective you've got to take, because the Dolphins should go in with Poop at quarterback and be able to beat that Jets team. You've got a really strong arm for your age.
I used to have a really, really, really strong arm until I had shoulder surgery. I'm a lefty, by the way, so there wouldn't have to be too many adjustments in the offense. Okay, I have to send the tweet very quickly here to ask somebody in my house here to do me a favor and get my cat to shut the hell up, because the cat will not stop meowing. And it's the plaintive meow. So it's very annoying. Birthday Salami, thank you very much for the contribution. Very generous of you. Much appreciated. McD may be a great play caller, offense designer, and even can be an OC for a team on his best day, just not a head coach. 3 years, still can't win a challenge, can't call a third and short, no discipline. Great, he made Tua respectable, but it's the Miami Dolphins, not Tuans. Oh, you better be careful who you say that around. That's going to get some pushback. That was a big part of the job. When he was hired, though, let's be honest. Let's make something of our quarterback, who we spent the 5th overall pick in the 2020 draft on. And again, the flip side of that is he's got his warts as a head coach, like most head coaches do. And if they win on Sunday, they'll at worst have had a winning record in his 3 seasons. And if they win and they get help from Kansas City, then they'll have made it the playoffs 3 times in his 3 years. So he can't be that horrible.
No, I've always been of the belief, and this is just a football preference of mine, of the belief that when an offensive head coach who calls the plays decides to no longer call the plays, that you're starting to see red flag territory, that there is maybe something there that you can't overcome in the long term. I'm starting to come off that a little bit, because I think the locker room plays for Mike McDaniel. And I think Mike McDaniel is a bright offensive mind. But I'm really starting to lean into I don't know if he should be calling plays any longer, if it's time to go a different route. And I know that there's still the regular season finale and a potential postseason game.
I'm going to see if I can go address my cat problem.
Oh, that's fine. So I just want to, we're in a cat delay. I just want to make sure that I put it on the record because we're going to be talking about this all off season. I know Mike McDaniel's going to be asked about it. I know it's going to come up over and over and over again. And we're going to go into training camp, and it's going to come up again and again and again. Mike McDaniel, you're calling the plays, and I think he's self-aware enough and he's humble enough to give up play calling and potentially, at least for a while, make it work. I don't know. Maybe
I don't think so. I don't.
But it's not, this isn't viable. This isn't good enough. Like, this isn't working any longer. I don't know if situationally he has as much depth as we think he does or did to be calling these plays. It almost seems like sometimes he's got these plays that he falls in love with, and no matter the yardage or the down, he just goes with it. There's no rhyme or reason to really anything he does, which is why we keep seeing the outside runs on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. Like, it's just not good enough.
I like to keep it very simple. And I understand the blocking in the middle of the offensive line is not physical. I get it. To me, use Jeff Wilson Jr., please. Please, he's your most physical, aggressive back. Use him. By the way, speaking of play calling, how damn good is Jason Sanders? Nice segue, right? Nice segue, right?
That was really good. That was really, really good. I'm impressed, actually. He's good.
Thank you. Segways are for kids. Was that tricks? Segways are for kids. John Morrell, thank you very much for the contribution. Finns have a top 3 time of possession in the league. How much does that play into our defensive rankings? Doesn't seem like our defense plays as well as it's ranked. Appreciate your work, Poop. No, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. That's a very good point. The problem with the defense, here's the thing, where I would totally agree with you, except for the fact that the defense is very, very good on 3rd down. So it's not just, but the fact that the Dolphins hang on to the ball with the dink and dunk game, a lot more so than the running, most games, that helps the defense. But the defense, again, is very good on 3rd down. What they're like, and they're good. Again, if you look at the yardage against, part of it is a time of possession. Part of it is they're solid. They're generally pretty good in the red zone. What they don't have is they don't have a ton of sacks. They don't have a ton of takeaways, although they get 2 of them today. Nice pick by Tyrell Dodson. Keep your helmet on. It's an automatic flag. You should know that by now. And then a nice sack strip by Emmanuel Ogbah.
Yeah, I think there are 2 different ways to look at a defense, because you could go by total defense or you just go by scoring defense. And I think that with this Dolphins team, they've done a good job of being stingy, but it also feels like they're not as good as sometimes what the numbers suggest, because they tend to elongate possessions. They do commit penalties. Like you said, they don't come up with a lot of takeaways. They don't get an intense amount of pressure on the quarterback. So it seems like they're on the field for a long time. They will allow some fairly extended drives, but they bow up when they need to. I look, is this season going to go down as a defensive success? I don't know, but I think that we'll look back and say, you know what, things felt they felt improved. And especially with some of the late signings, I think that this defense made the most of what it had for a good portion of the season. And you can be encouraged by Jalen Ramsey getting his money and then being absolutely sensational for a vast portion of the year.
Yeah, and they made a big-time signing in Calais Campbell, who's been even better than anybody had a right to expect, just because of his age, not because he's always been good, because the dude has always been good. And then Zach Sealer completely blew up with I think, I don't know if subconsciously he wanted to say, like, for those of you who think I'm the product of playing next to Christian Wilkins, let me show you this.
Ogbah?
Ogbah's solid. Ogbah's solid. And talk about
here, though. They definitely needed him. Like, if they didn't just last second grasp him and place him back in that Dolphins defense, I don't know what that D-line would have been overall.
No, they caught a break that nobody else signed him, because he's a more than a serviceable player. So to me, kind of surprising nobody signed him. And the Dolphins have Shaq Barrett, who, by the way, now is back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Good luck to you, Shaq. But he bailed them out big time.
Real quick, with Shaq Barrett, and I got into an online argument with some people about this a couple of years ago. Or a couple of weeks ago. I know. It's very odd for me. I know. Shaq Barrett, I'm appreciative of the fact that he is back in a situation where unless something goes south, because no pun intended. I think that division, the Buccaneers are the best team in that division. I think hopefully when everything pans out, Tampa Bay is in the playoffs and he gets to make a run with that team. But the Dolphins did not, I want to repeat this. The Dolphins did not owe Shaq Barrett anything. So when they decided to keep him on the roster before the deadline a couple of weeks ago, they're how unprofessional is Chris Greer? How unprofessional are the Dolphins? No. Because Shaq Barrett decided right before the I'm going to retire. I don't want to do this anymore. And then 11th hour before the deadline, but I love this opportunity. The Dolphins did not owe him anything, and now he eventually got what he wanted, so I don't want to hear anything about how the Dolphins treated Shaq Barrett unfairly. Not at all. I'm critical of this Dolphins team, but not with that, because they did not owe him a single solitary thing, period.
No, and then there's other people who will tell you the Dolphins got played because they should have hung on to him. Here's the deal. When he was waived, if you look at the official transaction, it says non-injury settlement. What does that mean? It's not out there, but I'm going to guess the Dolphins got some money back from his signing bonus. Mike McDaniel was asked about it last week, and he said, well, Chris Greer and I decided that there was no longer an issue of competitive advantage. Well, if Shaq Barrett was going to go back to Tampa Bay, which is what he expressed as a desire in August to Kay Adams on her podcast, you weren't playing the Buccaneers. And in fact, it might have helped for him to play with the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers were playing the Chargers, who were one of the teams you were chasing, even though they spanked the Chargers even without him. So the competitive advantage argument presented by Mike McDaniel is the reason why they decided to do it now.
Yeah. He should have just not said that. You're right, because it made no sense, a competitive advantage excuse for all of that.
Yeah, I think part of it was, I don't know if it was making a stand that players are not to treat the organization like that. And then the part, maybe there was negotiating back and forth of, you're going to give me part of your signing bonus back, how much? And then eventually it got played. But here's the other part too. I don't want to make necessarily big deal. It's not a big deal with Chuck Barrett. With all due respect, it's not like he was a major factor as a pass rusher each of the past 2 seasons. So it's not vintage Shaq Barrett when he led the NFL in sacks in 2019 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay. EJ, thank you very much, EJ. One of my regulars, my good guys here. I appreciate it. Finn's Novella, Tua pulls a Tannehill and waffles on season-ending hip surgery. Condolences, Poop. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that plays out. Again, we don't know a whole lot of details other than supposedly, again, according to, I believe it was CBS, it flared up on Thursday. Mike McDaniel spoke before practice. On Friday, there was no reason to think it had gotten worse when he wasn't asked about Tua and his availability. And then I'm sure he was asked after the game on Sunday, and then we'll see where that goes. But I'm certainly very curious where that goes.
I just, when you hear the reports, it's his hip. And it's the same hip from Alabama. But don't worry, it's a different spot. That doesn't make me feel any better, because the hip isn't exactly the biggest portion of the torso region of your body. That doesn't make me feel any better. So hopefully it's minor. But when you hear hip and Tua, and when a non-mobile quarterback has a hip injury keeping him out of a game, it seems a bit red flaggy to me, all things considered.
Yeah, not ideal. Ryan Laporto, thank you very much. Ryan, much appreciated. Condolences, thank you very much. Thank you for your continued hard work. Ken, come up and cover UCF.
Well, first of all, I have nothing against UCF. I cannot stand USF. So if we're talking UCF and USF, oh man, the Bulls are so annoying. That fan base. By the way, UCF fans, your athletic director, Terry Mahajer, was the associate athletic director when I started at Florida Atlantic in 2007. Great guy. Going to do great things with him. And I was actually, FAU basketball played at UCF 4 weeks ago, and I was on campus there in Orlando. So there you go. That's all I got on UCF.
Okay, you can take all the shots you want at USF as long as you don't say any bad words about my FIU Golden Panthers, home of Jonnu Smith and home of what?
Yeah, and I just want to make something abundantly clear. I'm sure you value your degree from FIU, and Jonnu Smith has been sensational, but FIU is so insignificant in the grand scheme of things in college athletics that why would I even say anything?
Oh, damn. That hurts. Okay. By the way, just looking here, according to BetOnline, the opening odds for the Dolphins Week 18 game at the New York Jets. I'm very surprised by this. Miami -2. I don't know if that's a reflection that they're thinking it's going to be Tyler Huntley at quarterback. Again, the Jets are very dysfunctional. So
it's so toxic.
AJ Hall, thank you very much, AJ. Appreciate it. No question, just showing love. Welcome back, Ken, as well. Hey, there you go.
AJ, it's good to be back. I missed all of you dearly.
Oh, look at Ken.
Can you give me a heart? Can you give me some hand hearts?
Whoa, there you go. You deserve it. I got to look at this one. Roasted nuts. You got to tell me what this is about. FIU is trash. Cut it out.
I mean,
what the hell? Is it still called Pitbull Stadium? LOL. Wow. Yes, it is.
It is. It definitely is. So Poop again. Poop was there at a different time. Wait,
they were called the Sun Blazers when I went.
The Sun Blazers. It was a much different school before it became the Panthers, and it's become just a barren wasteland. But Poop was there in its glory. So this has nothing to do with Alain Poupart. Okay.
Is there what glory? Actually, my glory in terms of like where I attended college was more like Miami-Dade at a time when it was a community college. The year I was a sports editor for the school newspaper, that team went to the national championship game in both soccer and basketball. And in fact, they lost the national championship game in basketball to a team from Texas. I can't remember which one, whose star player was a diminutive point guard by the name of Anthony Webb, who you might know better as Spud.
Is that what launched you into your career covering the NFL and the Miami Dolphins? Was the opportunity to cover Spud Webb?
What does Spud Webb have to do with the Dolphins or football?
I was just looking for the bridge. I just want the biography of Alain Poupart. That's all I'm asking for.
No. I just started the old Miami News covering sports in general, and then it filtered and went into football.
And now you're the best damn journalist in South Florida, Poop, if I may say so myself.
You tell the masses. Thank you, Ken. Much appreciated. You can come back on the show next time. Question for Alain. Since the French language is more nuanced and descriptive than English, how would you describe this win in French, then translate? I can't. I love you, Doug, but I can't. I'm having a hard time formulating thoughts and sentences in English right now. C'est une belle victoire. How's that? That means it was a good win.
Perfect.
Let's go back to the. I cannot believe he called my FIU Golden Panthers trash. So I'm going to go to the start here or what?
You seen the football team? My God.
Finns look like they are keeping Huntley next season. Yeah, that's according to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, good friend Barry Jackson, who reported that Huntley told him his agent was told the Dolphins have an interest in bringing him back as a backup in 2025. He plays like he played today. Absolutely, sign me up. I just don't know you're going to get that kind of performance from him on a weekly basis. But that's the kind of, this was a starting caliber performance. Forget backup. That was starting caliber.
I want to ask you, though, Poop, from a journalism standpoint, what good does it do for an agent to confirm to a reporter before the end of the current season that, the Dolphins have interest in bringing my client back? Like, isn't that, like, if you're the team and you're like, wait, we might have had preliminary discussions with this quarterback, but the agent's already going to the Miami Herald to put it out into the public. Why?
Wow. You didn't pay attention. I said Huntley said that, not the agent.
Oh, so Huntley said that. So, that's even more damning. If you've had preliminary discussions, I just don't know what good it does Tyler Huntley for him to volunteer. And I have talks about me.
Do you actually think if the Dolphins were interested in bringing him back, they'd be like, well, no, he leaked it to the media, then we're changing our mind. We'll show him. No, I don't think it doesn't matter one way or the other.
It just feels like he's tempting fate. But you're right. If he continues to play like this or has another opportunity and plays like this, then yeah, he should be back. And I think it's pretty clear that he's better than Skylar Thompson, at least in my opinion. Now, it still doesn't change the fact that round one of Tyler Huntley, Mike McDaniel needed to find a way to strip down the offense and to play to his strengths, and he was incapable of doing that. We saw Tyler Huntley able to run the Mike McDaniel offense today with the RPO and the quick throws and the planting the back foot. I thought Jason McCourty was really good today, breaking down the throwing motion of Tyler Huntley and how quickly he was working in the pocket. I thought that was really good job from the CBS broadcast standpoint. But that is Tyler Huntley running the Mike McDaniel system. Mike McDaniel tried to have Tyler Huntley run the Mike McDaniel system 5-6 weeks ago, and it didn't look like that. That wasn't good, and that's still something we're going to look back at the early part of the year and say this is what really made this season difficult.
Again, it's thinking Mike White and Skylar Thompson were your answers. And I'm still curious. I'm going to put it out there. I still think Mike White would have been a better option than Skylar Thompson. I don't know what he would have done. Nobody knows. So before you start to call me crazy, I know that's a popular game among some of the fans. We don't know because we never saw it. This is an excellent point by Edwin here. KC owes Dolphins a favor. Back in 2019, Dolphins beat the Patriots to give KC home field advantage.
That's true.
That is an excellent point. The Dolphins won at Gillette Stadium. That moved New England from the number 2 seed to the number 3 seed at a time when there were 6 playoff teams. The top 2 had a bye, so this week, that year, it became Baltimore and KC. Tennessee went to New England, beat the Patriots, and that was the end of Tom Brady's time in New England. Excellent point, Edwin. Hat tip to you.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, but 100%.
It's funny. KC will probably elevate their entire practice squad next week. That's funny. I will point out you're only allowed 2 elevations. So there. Drew, KC player is going to want to win. This is going to be a lot of guys. Big chance. Don't count them out yet. That's all great and dandy, but when it's B players playing against Denver, and Denver's a solid team. You know, I want to make an observation here, and this is part of the media and how we look at things, because I saw today like a whole bunch of people going nuts about what Bo Nix did in bringing the Broncos back and that touchdown pass, which, by the way, was a completely stupid catch. And don't come at me. The ball never moved when Marvin Mims was down in the end zone. It moved after he was on the ground, and the DB kept slapping the ball away. That was a clear catch. But here's the thing. Yes, that was great by Bo Nix. Broncos had the ball twice in overtime. They went 3 and out both times. And the second time they had the ball after Cade York missed that chippy field goal, basically Broncos need 1 first down, and they can kill the clock, walk out of there with a tie, and they clinch that playoff spot. So I asked myself, yeah, he was great in bringing him back thanks to a stupid catch, but not just him, but the offense completely gagged in overtime.
He also, well into the third quarter, had 91 yards against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So, yes, the comeback was awesome. Yes, he threw it about 65 yards in the air on that touchdown, but it doesn't change the fact that, especially in overtime, it was a lot of inaccuracy. It was a lot of panic throws. Bo Nix is certainly not infallible. Is he better than I thought he would be in his rookie season? Yeah, like he's made improvement week after week after week. The last couple of weeks, he's been a little bit dicey, but he's gotten better. But we're not talking about some unbeatable. Carson Wentz can beat Bo Nix. Again, is it going to happen? I don't know. I would. I don't do this because I'm very cheap, but I would put my money on the Denver Broncos. My heart says hopefully the Chiefs upset the Broncos, but I don't buy that Bo Nix is going to come in and have some statement game to close out the regular season of his rookie year. I'm with you, Poop.
I am more worried. I am more thinking that Denver is going to win this game. Holy crap. Yikes. The odds makers apparently don't give Carson Wentz much of a chance. The thing that I think the KC defense, again, depending on how many guys they sit, if I'm KC, Trent McDuffie, sorry, you're not playing because that dude's a baller. I'm not sure I play Nick Bolton. Chris Jones, you're not playing. But again, that opening line is Denver -8.
Holy, really?
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah.
And that was my thought too. Like, holy smokes, that's
you know what though? I'll put Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo up against whatever the Broncos are going to put out there, and I think the Chiefs will at least be in the game enough to have Dolphins fans, whether this is good or not, hopeful that something awesome could happen next Sunday.
Here, I'm going to give you hope. Because I did a story again. Please, I'm going to keep repeating myself because, as Omar Kelly would say, this is how I feed my family. Miami Dolphins on SI.com. Free content. Some of it actually pretty good, if I do say so myself. I did a story on, in fact, it's up there today. Teams that clinched the number 1 seed before the final week. I did it since 2018 because that's when KC began its run. And the record for teams who did that is 1-5 in those meaningless regular season finales. So there's hope, and the team that gives you hope is the Baltimore Ravens in 2019. If you remember, that was Lamar Jackson's first MVP year. Played Robert Griffin III against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the regular season finale, won 28-10. The other 5, however, including the 2 number 1 seeds last year, who was the 2 number 1 seed? Baltimore and San Francisco have lost those regular season finales. And the only time a team used its starting quarterback was the 2021 Green Bay Packers used Aaron Rodgers. They still lost a game, and they lost in the NFC Championship game, I want to say, against the Rams.
Okay. Should we do it this week or next week, Poop? The what game do the Dolphins regret losing the most in 2024? Because we don't even get to it if the Dolphins win next week and the Chiefs end up winning next week. But just hypothetically, let's say that next week the Dolphins go to MetLife and Tua/Snoop. They beat Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is like throwing helmets, and him and Sauce Gardner get into a fist fight, whatever. But then the Broncos end up beating the Chiefs. What game do the Dolphins rue the most? The one game, the one loss where you say, well, that did it, or else the Dolphins are in the postseason.
Yeah, it's easy to point to one of the games with the backup quarterbacks early on. Like the Indy game kind of jumps out because the quarterbacking was so bad on both sides because Anthony Richardson couldn't hit, was it the broadside of the barn? I think the Arizona game is the one that really irks me because the Dolphins had the ball and the lead, and basically they needed a first down to close the game because they were about to get into field goal range and kill more clock, and they wound up punting and just watched the Cardinals move right down the field.
Yeah.
That was really disappointing.
The Tennessee one was extremely disappointing too, especially for a second straight year to go down to that. And Will Levis gets hurt immediately in that game. And you still, like the Dolphins in that second half, I mean, it was just stuck in mud. It was not competitive. That's when you started to think, uh-oh, something's off here, because it was listless. And that listless play lasted another 3-4 weeks, went into the Tua injury. Like the whole thing was just that. The Colts one hurts because that was super winnable, and Anthony Richardson was not good. And you had that game. You had that game won. As far as what are we watching, the Arizona and Tennessee games stand out to me because I still, like, those are still just complete enigmas. Sorry, Aaron Rodgers. Just total enigmas of I don't understand what's happening here. It's like they've lost all ability to play football, and Mike McDaniel doesn't have a single solitary plan to even get them in a position to be competitive. Just weird first 9 games of the season.
Yeah, but if you remember, the Tennessee game was the one where Tyler Huntley was making his first start, and you mentioned the Will Levis injury, and I'm going to tell you the Will Levis injury hurt the Dolphins.
Sure.
Because their best shot in that game was for Will Levis to get sloppy with the ball and turn it over, and once they put Mason Rudolph in,
he didn't turn it over.
Well, the head coach saw, wow, that offense over there is bad. So let me just make sure we don't turn it over. Play very conservative, and that's how they did it. We got another AJ again. Thank you very much, AJ. Gentlemen, should we get a Brinkley to complement Huntley's game? Wow. Note esoteric journalist humor. Wow.
You know,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I like that a lot, EJ. You know what? That's what they call highbrow humor.
Yes.
I respect that.
It's going to go over the head of a lot of people. There was 2 journalists who had a TV show many moons ago, and the name of the show escapes me. I don't think it was Huntley and Brinkley. I can Google it real quick, but Well done. Well done. I'll look it up when Ken goes on a rant. I'll make Ken go on a rant, and then we'll go.
Trigger me.
Drew being a below average 500 team beats being a below average 4.375 team. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes, you are correct. I guess that brings me back to this, because if anybody joined us here late, when we started this, Poop and I were talking about, hey, if, and it's still a big if, and the odds are not in favor of the Dolphins. Maybe you should be burning some sage. Maybe you should be doing whatever message to the universe you want to put out there to help generate some hope, some optimism. It's going to be a difficult road for the Dolphins to get into the playoffs, but despite the fact the Dolphins would be sort of backing in or getting some sort of miracle help to go play in Buffalo, you know what? That's more preferable than not going to the playoffs. And you know what? I'd much rather go to the playoffs and take on a team that I know really, really well. And the last time I played them at their place, I very nearly finally figured out a way to beat those guys. I know I'm being super annoying optimist guy here, and that's unlike me as well, so I feel very uncomfortable right now as I do it, but that's better than just get rid of these bums, whole thing sucks. It's good to get back into the playoffs. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. So it doesn't matter how you do it, and if it's Buffalo, so be it. Let's play.
Right. By the way, it is the Huntley-Brinkley report, so there you go.
Okay.
Very, very good poll. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Richard, I'm going to put up your message, even though, Richard, you comment quite a bit on the videos, usually bitching at something I say. Love you anyway, because you obviously you watch. So hat tip for that. I've cursed the Dolphins all year, but at least they've managed to deliver drama all the way up to the last game of the season. I guess that's all you can ask. It is all you can ask.
It could have fallen apart.
It's the alternative.
Yeah. The Dolphins have shown resilience. They still can't beat good teams. They still can't win in conditions, but they can. For all of the anonymous reports that Mike McDaniel was starting to lose the locker room and there were issues, that was all nonsense. I knew it was nonsense. Anybody with a finger on the pulse of this team knew that it was complete crap. And these are the results. These guys keep battling, keep fighting, which is why all of the, we need a new coach. No, because in the NFL, when the coach loses the locker room, it's time. But until that point, you hang on to that coach. And Mike McDaniel has clearly not lost the locker room, even come close to it. And he's navigated them to within a Sunday of the postseason. Again, he is safe. Couldn't be safer.
What Ken said. Chris, for you.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thank you. Yeah, how about that? Right? A little love here. Chat, was this the best? Oh, Chad, were you asking for the chat? Okay, sorry, I won't chime in then. Was this the best our defense was all season? I think against the Rams were very good, although it was mostly in the red zone.
Yeah, it also, too, got a big assist from the fact that the Browns offense is just an embarrassment. I mean, just horrendous. And I don't want to undercut really good individual play today. And Calais Campbell was awesome. Emmanuel Ogbah was awesome. Brooks was really, really active. I thought that was sensational. But boy, that Browns offense is unwatchable with DTR at quarterback. Oof.
Yeah, you're right. Dotson also was very good. But here's the thing with the Browns. The Browns are down to like their fourth tackle because they've got Conklin, Wills, and DeJuan Jones on IR. They lost Nick Chubb. They didn't have David Njoku. Jerry Jeudy's more of a name than a player right now. I mean, he was bad. He was dropping passes all over the place today, and their quarterback's a practice squad guy. So, yeah, this is why I came into this game thinking, I don't know, the Browns can hurt you offensively. And I don't get why the Browns went with DTR instead of Bailey Zappi. Not a great player. I think the Dolphins might have had a little bit more trouble with Bailey Zappi, who was at least a little bit more functional. Oh, look at that. You have a fan. LaVicka.
No. Good to be back.
Really? That's what you got?
Yeah.
You're not going to try one of these?
I don't know if it works. Hold on.
No,
I must have a magic laptop.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Let's see. We're going on about an hour. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon, but we'll get to a couple more. Noah Crawley, thank you very much, Noah. My condolences to you and your family. Appreciate it. No question. I just want to show some love and respect because I never get to watch the show live because I work graveyard shift in the Pacific time zone. Keep up the great work, AP. Thank you, Noel. Thank you. Very much appreciated. And
Graveyard shift in the Pacific time zone is like early morning. Yeah, I guess what? 7, 8, 9 a.m. Eastern time? 10 a.m. Eastern time?
Too much math from my mind right now. Tara, thank you very much. Been a long day. I kind of work all day on game day, so don't ask me for complicated math like this. I don't know. Snoop did great today. Yes, he did. No LB1, good QB play starts with 0 mistakes. Snoop played smart, if you ask me. Snoop played great. I guess Snoop played great.
Go through, if you could, Poop, just go through his line again real quick, because you said if it was just one of the, you remember back in the day they had the coffee commercials and it was the blind taste test, right? And which one is better? Is it Folgers Crystals? Is it if you had a blind taste test of these two quarterbacks, football speaking, okay, and you just look strictly at numbers. If someone told you, oh, those are Tua's numbers, you would be fainting. It would be like teenage girl Beatles Coming to America, Ed Sullivan show type stuff. The line for Snoop today would get you giddy with excitement if you were a Tua stan.
22 for 26, 225 yards, 84.6 completion percentage, and one of those was a spike at the end of the first half. Another one was a pretty throw down the middle to Malik Washington that he dropped.
Yeah.
One touchdown, no picks, 115.5 passer rating. Tua on the year is 101.4. Tua has 3 games this season with passer rating higher than that. He has 1 game with a higher completion percentage than that.
Yeah.
So, and because this doesn't affect the passer rating, Tyler Huntley, your team rushing leader with 52 yards.
See, like that's the thing. I am a Tua stan, and if you would have told me those were Tua numbers, I would have jumped on here and within the first 30 seconds said, "Poop, I am here to bow to the altar of Tua Tagovailoa as the former president of the Tua Tagovailoa fan club in Palm Beach County in the Treasure Coast. Not that any longer due to a corporate decision, by the way. And I am very, very pleased as a Tua stan to see Tyler Huntley able to put up those numbers and do those things because now you feel like you have a backup option in case Tua has issues or his hip continues to be problematic."
This is funny. I'm going to put it up as funny. Pete Stakes, the best quarterback in Miami since Marino, is Tyler Huntley. I don't know if I got that far, but it's funny.
Jay Fiedler.
Oh, there you go. A little shot. You're not wrong. Snoop was awesome today against a 3-win team. Absolutely. That's the caveat. And I apologize. You know what? I apologize in all fairness because I would do that if there was Tua, or chances are I would do that. So, yes, they were playing a really, really bad Cleveland team. It's not a bad defense, but it's a defense. This was the argument I made last year as well when the Dolphins were having success against the Jets. If you play a team that's the defense itself is good, but the offense is so bad that it keeps putting the defense on the field, then the defense cannot be as effective as it should be. That's the case with Cleveland. It's a really, really, really bad team. And, yes, it absolutely needs to be factored into in Tyler Huntley's performance today. But this was why the Dolphins figured to win because they were playing a really bad team with an absolutely sub-NFL level offense with DTR quarterback.
Yeah, that's as bad as it gets. That's one of the worst offenses you're going to see in the NFL this season or any season.
That offense. Oof.
Yeah.
Might have been worse without Chubb, without Njoku, and with DTR quarterback. That offense might have been worse than what we had with the Dolphins with the backup quarterbacks earlier this season.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Okay, hold on. No, I'm going to go there. Robert, here we go. Poop trying to diminish Tua by praising Huntley. Tell me this guy's not a hater. I'm sorry, Robert. Tyler Huntley sucked. He was horrible. What is it? First of all, what is it about the stats that you're gonna argue with? You're gonna argue that Tyler Huntley didn't have a good game. This is what I can't stand about some Tua fans. I'm not diminishing Tua whatsoever. Tua's go back if you want to see what I said about Tua. Go back to the previous live post game shows, podcasts, and you will see when he has good games. I gave him his praise. Okay.
What would Robert glean from anything you said where you're trying to diminish Tua? We were simply making a point that Tua fans would think that this was a really good performance from Tua, and it just so happens it was the backup quarterback who put up the same numbers, and that's a good thing. Like that's a positive thing. I get this team beats you down, and I understand that this team can be soul sucking as well. But stop looking. It's like you're feeding guys like Robert feed off of, oh, disrespecting my player, disrespecting this guy that I enjoy watching play. It's not that. And as soon as you can actually, with an objective brain, be able to take in what we're discussing, it's going to make life a lot easier for you.
No, and here's the thing is, because I've made the point in the past, pay attention, Robert, okay, that when Tua put a lot of times, Tua is a conductor. If the things are working around him, he is very, very, very good, very efficient at running this offense. That's what Tyler Huntley did today. Okay. And I will tell you that Tyler Huntley did some things that Tua doesn't do with the scrambling. In terms of passing, Tyler Huntley did exactly what Tua does when Tua's on. That's exactly it was a Tua performance when he's on, with maybe even a couple more shots downfield than what we've seen from Tua this year. Okay, if that offends you for some reason because you think it's a shot at Tua, that's a you problem, my friend.
If it makes Robert feel any better, the Dolphins are in a better position to win if Tua plays next week than they are Tyler Huntley. I'll take the bullet here. I'll publicly go out on a limb, and I will say that, and hopefully, Robert, you sleep better tonight.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right because you know what you're going to get from Tua a lot more than you do from Tyler Huntley. Because I don't know if he's going to be the same guy next week. You know exactly what Tua is as a quarterback. If things are not crazy around them and there's not like major dysfunction, Tua's going to get the offense functioning and moving the ball. Okay, with Tyler, we don't know. I think he's still an X factor, even though today it was as good as we've seen with Tua pretty much all season. If that bothers you, again, you problem.
This is probably reckless, but I'm going to go ahead and assume, Poop, before we get to the comment here, that Teron Armstead is not playing next week. That seems like a tough test for him to be ready to go the way he was on one leg the first series of the game.
It's hard to imagine. O-line bad again. Michael's saying, go figure. Armstead left the game with an injury. I get it. Good guy. He's a great guy. Tough guy. Good when he is in, but availability is the best ability. Thank you for your time, but retire. I would, if I had to guess, I would believe that's what he's going to do again, because he's going to be sick and tired of his body always betraying him and all that.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad about it because he is a consummate professional and a fantastic human being, and when healthy, a dominant player, but he's just not healthy. And it's not his fault. He's tried. I mean, this guy, there has been no lack of trying to grind it out. But at some point, and you saw it a couple of weeks ago where he was clearly emotional on the sideline after having to go out. Like, he knows, and it's tough, and he's trying to help this team get to where it wants to be, but his body is saying no, and that's a tough thing to see in this sport for sure.
No, it's sucks, and you're looking at a guy who, I may be guilty of hyperbole here, but had it not been for the fact that he's injured every single solitary year, I mean, that's a borderline Hall of Famer you got there.
Yes.
When, in terms of level of play. And then he's looking, his body has betrayed him with a lot of fluky stuff. You play offensive line, a lot of times it's just a guy falling into you while you're holding up somebody else, and you can't help it. Okay, this is going to be the last one because I have to go put up more stuff on Miami Dolphins on thatside.com for you guys to read and enjoy. Please do so. We'll leave it with this one. Jersey Joel Fishing. The Chiefs aren't going to not try next week against the Broncos, even if Wentz is the QB. The Chiefs want to win. Division rival and the Chiefs would love to knock Denver out of the playoffs. I don't think they're going to try to win regardless. But I think if we're worrying about them wanting to knock Denver out of the playoffs, I think they'd prefer making sure Cincinnati's not in the playoffs. And Cincinnati's in if the Dolphins lose, if KC wins Denver, and then Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh, Cincinnati gets that number 7 seed. My guess is all 3 games are going to be 4:25 p.m. again, so it doesn't affect reasons to play. But I don't see that at all. I think the Chiefs are going to play to win while taking care of their needs first, which is making sure they're as healthy as possible when the playoffs start.
And I trust no other team with the apparent luck of the universe perpetually behind them to find a way to succeed than the Kansas City Chiefs, using backup players, including arguably the greatest quarterback in the history of the sport, not named Tom Brady, and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, to at least put themselves in a position to win that game next week. Because, again, they're the ones with the horseshoe perpetually up their backside. Those are your Kansas City Chiefs. And you know what? Now you can root for them, Dolphins fans, instead of them making you angry. You're welcome. Happy holidays.
There's no way to top that. So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Please like, subscribe. He is the one and only Ken LaVicka. Catch his work on ESPN Radio. When you're back on, my friend?
Friday at noon, actually, a little daytime radio. So you can also see that on ESPN too. So I'll talk to you there.
Awesome. Excellent. Since I probably won't talk to you before then, Happy New Year, my friend.
You too, friend.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Love this. Even Robert. Even Robert. Guys, stop taking everything so personally, please. Love you guys. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your Sunday evening.